Welcome back to the channel. This is Trinity Storm, and you are watching fourth part of What If Naruto Became Fox Knight Guardian. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Now, wasting no more time, let's start the story.
Naruto slashed at the side of Sasuke's head, but Sasuke moved out of the way. He was about to hit back when he saw a green blur and then felt pain explode along the side of his head. As Lee got back into place from his leaf whirlwind, he was thrown back. He just looked at Sasuke. "I can't believe I ever wanted to fight you. I thought you were a genius like Neji, but you're just a coward and a traitor. Naruto is much smarter than you will ever be." Sasuke got up and turned on his Sharingan. His eyes were red as he did this. "We'll have to see about that." Sasuke ran forward and pulled out his sword. But he saw that Lee's eyes had moved to where he was standing. He actually looked down for a second, but Naruto's knees sent him flying back. Karen got into a lot of trouble. So far, she had been able to avoid the pin-haired Kunoichi's punches, which were stronger than anyone else's. But the Hyuga were something else. He was as fast as her, if not faster, and his Juken attacks were messing up her chakra network. She was confused about what to do. All of her skills were related to healing and being able to feel chakra. She wasn't able to fight. She managed to avoid the next Juken attack, but then a black shod foot came flying at her face. The wall behind Sakura broke when she kicked it, and two more walls broke after that. When the dust finally settled, Neji and Sakura found Karen unconscious and lying in the rubble of three walls. They looked each other in the eye. "That was not fun." "Yes, I didn't get to use any jutsu," Neji said. He almost looked sad. Suigetsu was enjoying his fight. The girl who wore her hair in a large scroll and a bun was obviously good with weapons. She was still spinning that flail and swinging it back at him. He moved his sword, and the flail went right into the hole higher up on the blade. Then, as it went around the blade, it pulled back as it went around. He grabbed the weapon out of her hand and threw it away as she pulled out a heavy metal staff. All of a sudden, he was surrounded by ink snakes that reared up to attack him. He jumped back and stared at the pale-skinned ninja, who was busy adding more pictures to his scroll. A group of roaring Chinese-style lions jumped out of the scroll and flew at Suigetsu. He swung his sword at them and killed them, but Tenten's staff hit him in the stomach. When the staff swung around again, he took a few steps back and fell on his back. This time, he was ready. When the staff hit him, he turned into water. It went right through him, so he swung his sword around, but a short sword and kunai held in an X shape stopped it. Sai struggled to hold on to the heavier sword while Tenten got his balance back and attacked again. Suigetsu dropped his sword when her staff went through his hands. Sai threw the kunai right away. It had a tag on it. It got into Suigetsu and got stuck there. The member of the water Akatsuki was happy. "Did you think that a tag with an explosive would work?" Sai just gave his strange little smile. "Who said that it was explosive?" Suigetsu looked down just in time to see his body start to freeze, right before he turned into a statue of ice. As he turned to Tenten, Sai's smile didn't stop. "Don't forget to tell me to thank Kage-san for those new tags. They work well." Guy and Kakashi were enjoying themselves. At first glance, their enemy looked like a kid, about the same age as their genin when they first got them. All of that changed when he got some growths that made him look like he was half human and half demon. Again, they both saw that looks don't always tell the whole story. Guy flew at him with a kick, but one of Jugo's arms hit him with a blast of wind. Suddenly, several kunai hit the arm, making Jugo turn around in time to see Kakashi charging with his hand in a hand sign. Water style, Water Dragon Jutsu. A huge water dragon rose up, roared, and flew toward Jugoi. The demon boy jumped back just in time to avoid being hit. Guy hit him at that exact moment, sending him crashing into a wall. He looked back at Guy, his eyes now wide with the desire to kill. "I'm going to kill you, and you're going to enjoy every minute of it." Jugo ran toward Guy so fast that he didn't see Kakashi pull out a seal. "Guy, keep him busy for a little while." "Yosh, my eternal rival. I'll keep him busy." Guy opened the first 4 gates right away. His face turned red, and the veins in his muscles stood out. He moved so fast that it was hard to see, and he slammed another fist into Jugo's face. The demon boy hit the wall again, and Guy pushed him up against it. Kakashi showed up and put a seal on Jugo's forehead that stopped his chakra from moving. Within seconds, the evil parts of Jugo went away, and he fell to the ground like a little boy again. Guy went back to being himself while Kakashi tied him up. Both of them turned around to see their students fighting. Sasuke is strong, but I think Naruto is better, especially since my best student is helping him. As he watched the three of them fight, Kakashi did nothing but nod. He felt terrible because he knew he had lied to two of his students while he was their sensei. Naruto, Sakura. Was I not a good teacher? I only thought about making Sasuke better. I should have also taught you both something. But it is too late now. Sakura, Tsunade-sama taught you how to fight. And Naruto, you've been trained in ways that I could never do. I failed. Kakashi-sensei, don't think that, Hinata told Kakashi. Don't think that. Kakashi turned around and was surprised to see Hinata with her Dokushogun activated. She gave him a smile. You might not have taught Naruto how to fight or any fancy jutsu, but you did teach him something very important, how to work as a team. As the fight went on, Kakashi did nothing but nod. Naruto moved out of the way of Sasuke's Chikudo and then cut back with his katana. Sasuke moved back, and the sword came very close to his face and chest. Where did you learn all this? How can you be that dobe I beat in the Valley of the End? Behind his mask, Naruto smiled. It had been hard to fight Sasuke. He had tried to use the Kitsunegan, but Sasuke's Sharingan was blocking it. Sasuke was in the same situation. So the fight came down to their skills, which Naruto liked better. It showed how useless Sasuke was without the Sharingan, our curse mark. I owe this to you. If you hadn't stopped Kyuubi the last time we met, it wouldn't have made me mad at him. After that, I trained with a former Junin of Uzu, and I also learned from Kyuubi. Oh, and my real name is Naruto Namikaze. You know who Namikaze was, right? Sasuke just stared at Naruto in shock until Lee punched him in the face with his fist. Sasuke flipped back, performing hand signs. Reikiri. Sasuke said, and lightning surrounded him and hit Lee. Even though the taijutsu expert dodged the lightning, it still hit him. It hit his nervous system like a taser blast, making him temporarily unable to move. Sasuke turned back to Naruto, who was finishing his own hansings. In the style of grass, water lily entrapment. Several water lilies grew through the floor, and the vines of their hanging flowers wrapped around Sasuke. As he got closer, Naruto gave a smile. My dad was the Yondaime of Konoha. When that was found out, I got access to everything he and my family ever made. I've trained in the styles and arts of Uzu, Kyuubi, and Namikaze. I'm not the same Baka you faced all those years ago. Suddenly, lightning tore through the vines and freed Sasuke. He lunged at Naruto and punched him, sending him flying. Naruto just barely got to his feet as Sasuke ran toward him. That doesn't mean that you are stronger than me. Now die. Before Sasuke could get to Naruto, he got hit a few times in the legs, which made them go numb. As more blows hit his arms, he fell to the ground. Sasuke was paralyzed, and he muttered a curse under his breath. He was rolled over quickly, and when he turned over, he saw Naruto and Hinata smiling at him. Naruto bent down and kissed Hinata's cheek. Then he looked down at Sasuke and gave him a smirk. Hey, Teme. Have you met my girlfriend? Naruto asked. Then he hit Sasuke with a right hook, knocking him out. Naruto sighed as he got on his knees and tied up Sasuke. He looked at Hinata and gave her a hug. I'm not saying I don't appreciate your help, but weren't you supposed to help the others save the Jinchuriki? Hinata just shrugged. We got him out of there okay, and I thought you could use my help here. Naruto just smiled. You had the right idea. Lee was kneeling next to Sakura, who had come over. She was done looking him over, so she got up. He's fine. He's just temporarily paralyzed. In an hour or so, he should be able to move again. Neji, Sai, and Gaia all had one of Sasuke's teammates on their backs. Kakashi decided to carry Sasuke himself. Sakura came over to Naruto. You did it. You got Sasuke back. Naruto nodded. This is what you wanted, right? Sakura gave a head shake. I don't know anymore. I really don't know. Naruto gave him a hug and said. Don't worry, everything will work out. Sakura gave a nod and a smile. Thanks for that, I needed it. Kakashi smiled. Okay, it's time to go, they said, and the Konoha Shinobi assault team left the castle. After a few minutes, it fell down on itself. The Raikage stood next to his brother's hospital bed. Both the Hachibi and his own doctors were already working on healing the burns. The Raikage let out a breath of relief. Losing Yugito, whom he had thought of as a little sister, had been hard enough. But it would be too much to lose his own family. He thanked the Konoha shinobi in silence, just like he did when the first half of the group came back with Killer Bee. A worker came in quietly and went up to the tall figure. Raikage-sama, the rest of the Konoha shinobi have come back. One of them went to check on Killer Bee to make sure he was okay. The Raikage did a U-turn. The question, which one? The one in the cloak who is blonde. I think they called him Naruto, but we call him the Fox Knight. The Raikage gave a nod. Bring him over here. The worker left, but a few minutes later, he or she came back with Naruto in tow. He still had the hood of his cloak up, making the Raikage wonder what he looked like without it. The helper went away, and Naruto just looked at Killer Bee. How is he doing? He's still alive. He should get better. I'm curious why you care so much. Naruto looked over at the Raikage. Please don't tell anyone what I'm about to tell you. As soon as the Raikage nodded, Naruto took off his hood to show his kitsune ears. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi. As soon as the Raikage realized who Naruto was, he took a few steps back. You're a Jinchuriki, and a Hanyu. Naruto nodded. I don't know what your Jinchuriki's life was like, but mine was a living hell, just like Gaara Nozabuka's and Suna's. When we finally met, I realized I was alone. After that, I promised to look after every Jinchuriki I met, which is why I'm worried about him. The Raikage gave the boy a look. Your life must have been hard. I heard how Gaara was treated, and when I met him after he became Kazekage, he told me more. The Raikage came forward as soon as Naruto nodded. I want to thank you for saving him. He is my brother, by the way. Naruto was shocked by what he saw. The Raikage gave a nod. After what you said, I was willing to let the past be the past even if I didn't save him. But knowing your life and seeing what you've done for me, I want to make you a promise. At the Cage Summit meeting, I will propose an alliance between our two villages, and if you want, I will protect you. Naruto was happy. Thanks for your offer. If I need you, I'll give you a call, and I hope you'll do the same for me. The Raikage grabbed Naruto and gave him a hug that broke his bones, then pushed him away. Okay, go back to that village and take care of that Uchiha for me. Naruto was happy. I will. He pulled up the hood of his cloak, bowed to the Raikage, and then walked away. He joined the others outside the hospital, where they were waiting. He gave him a quick look. Well? The Jinchuriki is fine, and if everything goes well, I don't think we will really have to worry about Kumo again. Kakashi read his favorite book while nodding. Well, let's get going, because I heard Jiraiya's new Icha Icha book is out. Naruto almost fell on his face, but he kept his balance. Kakashi-sensei, why don't you just get a real girlfriend and do things like that with her? As Kakashi and Naruto argued, the other people laughed. Tsunade laughed as she read Kumo's message. Homura, Kaharu, and Danzo all stood in front of her. Good news. The mission was a complete success. The Hachibi Jinchuriki were saved, and Sasuke Uchiha was caught. He and his Akatsuki friends are being brought back. The elders gave a nod. This is a good thing, and we're glad the Uchiha is coming back. Tsunade cocked her head. Why does that happen? Homura smiled. Of course, so he can start rebuilding the Uchiha clan. We've already picked out a wife for him. Tsunade looked at them as if they were out of their minds. Who? At the gate, the Chunin at the guard post heard a very loud and angry what? From the Hokage tower. Both people looked at the other. That just can't be good. Madara looked at the place where Team Taka used to hide. He had left 2 days ago to see what was going on in other places. Now that he was back, both his new student and the Jinchuriki were gone. Namikaze, I know you're behind this. You're strong, but I don't think you can handle pain. I'll tell you one thing, though, you'll pay for what you've done. The Uchiha went away and went back to his own secret hiding place. Pain's 5 bodies were in an open space. They had looked all over the land of fire for any sign of Naruto. In the middle of the clearing, Konan showed up. I found him. He is going back to Konoha with a big group. They have Sasuke Uchiha and the rest of Team Taka in custody. Pain groaned. This is bad. As strong as I am, I don't dare attack him with more than 5 people. We have to wait until he is outside the village, alone or with a small group, before we attack. One of the nearby trees suddenly gave way to a creature that was half plant and half human. On one side of the man's face and shoulders was white, and on the other side was black. He made a bow to Pain. Madara has called us all back. He says we need to regroup before we can get back what we've lost. Pain just nodded and turned to Conan. Let's go, he said, and the 8 of them left to go back to AIM. After 2 days, the Konoha shinobi went back home. Karen had woken up the day before and was trying to get away from her captors and curse at them. Suigetsu was still a statue made of ice, and Sasuke had a seal on him that made him sleep. Guy was carrying Jugo on his back. He was still tied down, but he was looking around curiously. He was the first one to wake up, right after they crossed the border. Flashback. Slowly, Jugo woke up and opened his eyes. He was tied to a tree, and Sasuke and Karen were close by. Suigetsu was set up close by. Jugo tried to use his powers right away, but he couldn't. Don't do that. There's a seal on you that keeps your powers in check. If you try too hard, it will knock you down, and it will hurt. Jugo looked up and saw the person in a cloak who had fought Sasuke. The figure walked over and took off his armored face mask, showing whiskers on his cheeks. He put a plate of food close by and slowly took the ropes off of Jugo. Jugo took a bite when he reached out. He turned around and looked at the figure, who had sat down and lowered the hood of his cloak to show 2 golden kitsune ears. Jugo was about to choke. Wah. What are those? These are my ears. I should probably tell you who I am. I'm Naruto, the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. His eyes got bigger. Naruto just grinned. Don't worry, you have nothing to fear from me. No, I'm not mad. I'm just surprised. I thought all of you Jinchuriki were bloodthirsty nuts. Naruto gave a head shake. Some of them are. Gaara of Suna was, until I set him straight. Jugo started eating again. I'm kinda like that. Really? Then how? It's my blood. I have this thing in my blood that makes me crazy and want to kill people. Naruto moved toward them. What went on? I heard about Orochimaru and he said he could help me. Then he locked me up and did experiments on me. He used my blood to make his curse seal. Naruto nodded. Well, that explains a few things. Why are you hanging out with Sasuke? I would have thought he would try to kill you. Jugo looked at Naruto. He gave me a reason to live. I owe my life to him. Naruto had a sudden feeling of copyright yavu. This boy was like Gaara and himself. He felt like he had no purpose until someone gave him one. Naruto smiled sadly at the boy. I know what it's like to be alone and feel like you don't matter. Jugo nodded. Sasuke keeps my bloodlust in check. Without him, I'd be a monster, he said, then turned away with a sad look. I guess I've failed him. Naruto gave a head shake. I met a ninja like you. He felt like he had no purpose until someone came and saved him. He was willing to give his life to protect the one he served, even if that person was bad. Naruto moved closer. If you want, I can give you a purpose. One that is noble and true. A purpose that is worth dying for. Jugo looked up. Why would you want to help me? Because we're the same. I couldn't help the ninja I told you about, but I can help you. Flashback ends. Jugo looked at Naruto and wondered if what he said was true for what seemed like the 100th time. He might be able to help me. Maybe I can do something good and be someone worth living for. Then, all of a sudden, an ambush showed up in front of Naruto. Namikaze-san, you and Hinata-san need to go to the Hokage right away. Everyone else will wait at the Anbu headquarters. Naruto looked at Hinata, who gave him a shrug in return. He took her hand, and in a flash of yellow, they were gone. They showed up again in front of the Hokage Tower, which also had a Hiraishin seal on it. Naruto put them in the most important parts of the village, so he could get anywhere quickly. He and Hinata went up to the office of the Hokage and went in. With a very angry look on her face, Tsunade was waiting with the elders and Danzo. Hinata and Naruto both bowed. What's going on, Nei-chan? Tsunade could hardly get a word out. In its infinite wisdom, the council has decided that Sasuke Uchiha should be forgiven and let him start rebuilding the Uchiha clan. They have also chosen his bride. Naruto gave the three older people in front of him a quick glance. Who? Tsunade sighed in anger, sadness, and frustration. Hinata Hyuga. Naruto and Hinata looked at the three members of the Elder Council for a long time. Hinata's face showed that she was completely shocked, but it was slowly changing. She had always been a quiet girl. She had always let other people walk all over her and tell her who she should be and how she should act. For 16 years, she had kept all of her anger inside. But now things had changed. She was now sure of herself and wanted to be her own person. Her anger was already at the point where she couldn't hold it in any longer. It was gone now. She was about to take out her anger on those poor, unlucky people when she heard a noise that stopped her. It sounded like laughter. Everyone in the room looked at Naruto, who was holding his sides and laughing so hard that he was crying. The blonde Hanyu wiped his eyes to get rid of the tears. Good joke, Nei-chan. Why are we here, anyway? When he saw the angry looks on the elders' faces and the serious look on Tsunade's face, his smile slowly went away. Naruto groaned. So, it's not a joke. Well, this is strange. Hinata could barely keep her anger in check. Tell me, please, why did the council decide to do this? Homura straightened his glasses, which had fallen off when he felt the female Hanyu's killer intent. Sasuke is the only Uchiha left. Even though he did wrong, the council thinks it is best for the village if he is forgiven. They started working right away to get the Uchiha clan back together. Which, since he owes you so much, would then be under the control of the council. Naruto said sarcastically. So, why is Hinata-chan? Kaharu gave Naruto an angry look. We think that if the Dokushogun and the Sharingan worked together, it would be very good for the village. Much more than what it would cost to let you two get married. Naruto cocked his head. Ah. I had the same thought. Well, I'd be very angry, and I might even be tempted to give Kyuubi a little bit of control right now, said one of the council members. But your plan won't work, so I won't. With his one eye, Danzo looked him over. What? How could it not work? As he leaned against the wall, Naruto sighed. There are a few reasons, she said. The first thing is that Hinata Hyuga doesn't exist. Hinata-chan is the only one. So, maybe you should think again. As he talked, Naruto smiled. The second reason is that Sasuke and Hinata couldn't have a child together because their DNA wouldn't match. He is a human, but she is a Hanyu, which means she is half demon and half human. Sasuke's DNA would completely overpower the DNA needed for the Dokushogun, and the child would either have the Sharingan or no Dujutsu at all. Also, the child would have 25 Hanyu DNA, which would give the child a slight boost in both their physical and mental abilities. In the end, you would have a bunch of Sasuke clones that were just a little bit stronger than Sasuke himself. Now, if we had a kid, Naruto said, making Hinata blush, our DNA would fit perfectly, since we are both Hanyu. 1 in 3 of the children born would get the Dokushogun, the Byakugan, or nothing at all. Because of Kyuubi's chakra, my Kitsunegan is the only one of its kind, and Hinata's Byakugan only changed because I used Kyuubi's chakra to save her and it changed her Byakugan. It's in her DNA, so as long as her DNA doesn't get too much, all of her kids can get either Dujutsu. Not only that, but they would all be Hanyu, which means that, with proper training, they would all be at least twice as strong as regular shinobi. Naruto smiled when he saw the 3 council members' angry faces. He put 3 fingers up. This is the third reason. Everything would depend on whether Sasuke, Hinata, and I agreed to this or not. Hinata is no longer a Hyuga, so they can't help you. Also, I don't think they would. I'm against it, of course, because I love my Hinaheim. Hinata gave him a smile and a hug, and her tail wrapped around his. I could never be friends with that cocky emo. I'd castrate him on the night of our wedding. Hinata gave the council death glares, which made them sweat for a moment. Naruto suddenly gave them a fox grin. And if you try to make me do this, I will quit this village, take Hinata with me, and leave. I'm sure that more than a few clans would follow me. And if some of the allies I brought to the village found out I was leaving, how long would they stay on your side? Danzo went crazy when he heard this and saw the sly grin on his face. You useless demon garbage. You dare to put this village in danger. Tsunade smiled. Council member Danzo, you just broke one of my two favorite new laws. Anbu. In a split second, 5 Anbu surrounded Root's head, which was hurt. The smile on Tsunade got bigger and more cruel. Take him to the ANBU's main office. Ibiki and Anko should work on him, and then he should be sent away to work hard for 5 years. Homura and Kaharu were horrified to see the Warhawk being taken away, and they cursed at the blonde Hanyu. Homura looked over at Tsunade. Hokage-sama, surely you jest? You can't be serious about your rules about Naruto, right? Oh, but I am. Kaharu looked at her in disgust. It's clear that the demon has corrupted you. Tsunade gave her an evil eye. Do you think you are immune because you are an older person? Anbu Squad 2. With that, 5 more Anbu grabbed Kaharu and dragged her away. Tsunade turned to Homura. And what do you want to try? Law number 2 hasn't been broken yet. Homura decided right then that it was time to think about leaving his job. Well, given the situation, I think it would be best for me to keep quiet. Good day, Hokage-sama. Homura left in a hurry. As he did this, the 3 people who were still there laughed out loud. I swear, he probably needs to go change his adult diaper right now. Naruto laughed as he fell to the ground. Hinata was leaning against the wall and trying not to crack her ribs. Everyone finally got quiet enough to talk. Tsunade gave them a happy smile. So, is there anything else to say? In your mission report, you said something about wanting to talk to me. Naruto nodded, still laughing and still shaking. It's about one of Sasuke's friends, he said. He might be very helpful to the village. But it's not that simple. As Tsunade nodded, Naruto went on, getting sadder as he spoke. His blood has something in it. It's not a family tree. It's more like a mutation. He has 2 very different sides to his personality. One is calm and peaceful, and the other is violent and bloody. He also becomes a little bit demonic because of this mutation. Orochimaru used him to make curse seals, but Sasuke set him free and was able to control him. I talked to him, and he just wants to have a reason for living, like Gaara and I did. Tsunade gave a sigh. Well, what should we do? If he turns evil, he sounds like he could be dangerous. I thought you could look and see if there was anything you could do to help him get control of it. I'd look after him so you wouldn't have to worry about him. Tsunade slowly nodded. Well, take a look. But if we can't change it, I don't know what to say. Naruto nodded. What about Sasuke, and what about the council? Tsunade smiled. I think it's time for a meeting of the clan chiefs. We'll let Sasuke rot in prison for a while until the new council decides what to do with him. Naruto nodded, a little sad. Hinata took his hand with care, and he sat up straight. He gave her a kiss on the lips, and she kissed him back. This went on until Tsunade shook her head. Okay, you two, get out of here. I need to get ready for a Cage Summit meeting. What about Naruto? Naruto was kissing Hinata when he pulled away. Yes? The Raikage has asked you to come. I suggest you make sure you are prepared to. Now, go and meet me tomorrow at the hospital.
We will check out your friend Jugo.
Naruto nodded, then turned around and looked at Hinata. With just a nod, the two walked away. Tsunade just sat back and was glad that the problem was solved. When Sasuke woke up, it would be an understatement to say that he was mad. He was chained to a wall and had chakra seals put on him so that he couldn't use chakra. After waking up for a few minutes, he heard voices and then footsteps. At last, 2 Anbu showed up, and Tsunade was behind them. She sat down and looked at the Uchiha, who gave her a glare in return. What would you like? Tsunade gave a sigh. I want to know why you didn't come back after killing Itachi and Orochimaru. I thought you wanted to put the Uchiha clan back together again? Sasuke looked at her with pure hate. Why would I come back to this town? It's not only weak, but it's also what killed my clan. Tsunade took a moment to look at him. What exactly do you mean? What I mean is that the council thought the Uchiha were behind Kyuubi's attack on Konoha, so my clan got ready to fight back. They told Itachi to kill everyone in my clan. Tsunade looked at him in surprise. What? Where did you hear that? It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with me. Where? As an Anbu showed up next to Tsunade, Sasuke just laughed at her. Hokage-sama, I have some very important news. What's that? When Ibiki and Anko tortured Danzo and Kaharu, they learned things about the Uchiha clan and Itachi Uchiha. After a moment of looking at the Anbu, Tsunade took the report from him. Tsunade read that he had gone away. She just stared at the report in shock for a few minutes before looking up at Sasuke. She turned away then. Anbu. In an instant, two showed up. She told people what to do. Go get Homura Mitokado and bring him here. Then tell Shizune to call all of the clan leaders together. Go. The Anbu left and Tsunade let out a sigh. You had a point. Anko and Ibiki forced Danzo and Kaharu to tell them what they knew. Why did they torture them? With a grim smile, Sasuke asked. Because he broke one of my new rules about Naruto. The law says that anyone who hurts Naruto Namikaze or anyone who is related to him by blood or marriage will have to do hard labor for 5 years. Sasuke's smile vanished. Why are you taking care of him? You already know what he can do. What he's like. Tsunade gave the Uchiha a dirty look. Naruto is the son of the Yondaime, and he has always been faithful to Konoha. He has helped save this town many times. I'll do everything in my power to make sure he's happy and safe. Sasuke smirked. You do know that Akatsuki will come for him, right? Tsunade smiled back. Almost, I hope they do. I think Naruto would find it fun to beat them up. When he heard these words, Sasuke's smile went away. Tsunade stood up. This is your new home until we decide how to punish you. Enjoy. She left, and Sasuke was left to think about what she had said. Naruto. Do you like beating them up? What is his strength? The last Uchiha was sitting there, thinking about what had happened while he had been gone. The new council met for the first time. Sume Inuzuka, Shuza Akamichi, Shibi Aburame, Shikaku Nara, Inoichi Yamanaka, and a Hyuga elder who called himself Hiroto Hyuga. As soon as Tsunade walked in, everyone went quiet. I'm glad you all came at such short notice. I'm afraid I have some scary thoughts. She quickly told him everything she knew about how the Uchiha clan had died. As soon as she was done, the council started talking among itself. Hiroto stood up. What do you think will happen now? The last council will be put to death for their mistakes. Tsunade said this as if it were clear. Yes, but how about Sasuke Uchiha? If all of this is true, he has every reason to hate Konoha and want it destroyed. He has to be stopped. Around the table, there were quiet nods of agreement. Tsunade held up her hands. I hate Sasuke Uchiha as much as I can, but he is the last of his clan. The Sharingan is very valuable, even if he is a traitor. Shibi got up slowly. There are many insect species that only mate with males and then eat them. Maybe the same could be said about this. What are you saying? Simple. Take out what you need and throw away the rest. Tsunade turned red at the thought. I'm not sure. It seems like a mean and cruel thing to do. Maybe there's a different way. She had a wicked smile on her face when it hit her. I have an excellent idea. But I need you and Naruto and Kurenai, Inoichi. Naruto and Hinata were happy as they walked down the street with the hoods of their cloaks down. People from Konoha were going about their lives all around them. Ninjas jumped from one roof to the next. Many people smiled at Naruto and Hinata and waved. They waved back and said hello before going to Naruto's favorite place. Hey, old fella. How you been? Naruto, Hinata. Good, because we were wondering when you'd come back. What's new? Tucci went to work as soon as they nodded. After a few minutes, Ayame put bowls in front of both of them, smiled, and rubbed their ears. Both of them grinned and then dug in. Naruto began to eat more slowly, and when he did, he found that his ramen tasted even better. Hinata, on the other hand, had started to eat more than her usual bowl. A shadow fell over them all of a sudden. Naruto did nothing but keep eating. Hey Kage-sensei. The former Junin of Uzu sat down, and the sun made his new Konoha headband shine. He asked for his own ramen and then gave Naruto a smile. Hey. I heard you just got back from catching Sasuke Uchiha. Yeah. What were you doing? You've already been on that mission for weeks. Kage smiled in a shy way. Well, it took me a little longer to find what I was looking for. But, mission accomplished. The three of them talked and ate until Kurenai ran up. Naruto, Tsunade wants to see you and me right away. Naruto looked at her, shrugged, and then got to his feet. He put money on the counter for both him and Hinata, and then he kissed her. "I'll see you when you get back home." Then he looked at the master of Red-Eye Genjutsu. "Let's go." Hinata went back to her food after the two had left. Kage looked at her. "Any thoughts?" "Nothing at all. But if Naruto-kun and Kurenai-sensei have to be there, it can't be good." She was so right. Naruto, Kurenai, and Inoichi all stood in front of Tsunade at the same time. He couldn't believe what Tsunade wanted them to do with their long, pointy ears. "You want us to go into the Tami's mind, then have Inoichi take all my worst memories and give them to Kurenai so she can use a genjutsu to make Sasuke live those memories in his mind so he can't get away from them?" Tsunade nodded. "Exactly." Kurenai and Inoichi did nothing but shrug. They knew Naruto's life was hard, but they didn't know how bad it could be. Naruto, however, shook his head. "Nope, not going to happen." Tsunade gave a sigh. The question, why not? 1. They are my memories. 2. No one should have to go through what I did. And 3. Sasuke went through enough when he lost his clan. Why put him through more? Tsunade stood up. She told him what she knew about the death of the Uchiha clan. Kurenai and Naruto were shocked when they saw her, and Inoichi just shook his head. When Tsunade was done, Naruto started to shake slowly out of anger. "Let me take care of them. When I'm done, nobody will ever even think about doing something like that again." Tsunade put his shoulder with her hand. "I might take you up on that offer. But back to Sasuke. I need him to see the truth. I need him to realize that someone in this village has been through a hell much worse than him and stayed loyal, no matter what. Otherwise, I'll have to go with Shibi's idea of a punishment." Inoichi jumped at what she said, and Kurenai was interested in Tsunade. Naruto did nothing but sigh. "Okay, but only if they keep everything they see in my mind a top-secret SS-level secret that no one else needs to know." Kurenai and Inoichi became worried, while Tsunade nodded. A hand was put on Naruto's shoulder by Kurenai. "Naruto, was your life really that bad? You have no idea." Sasuke was taken to an interrogation room and chained to a chair there. Then he had to wait an hour until the people who were going to hurt him got there. When they did it at last, he laughed at them. "The Dobi? You sent the Dobi to torture me? That's hilarious." Naruto just gave a headshake. "I'm not here to torture you. I'm here so that they can use my memories to torture you." Sasuke was watching them. His memories? "Are you going to torture me by showing me Naruto shouting, 'Believe it'? And Sakura punching him?" Inoichi and Kurenai both looked at each other, but Naruto didn't do anything but shake his head. "Sasuke, I feel sorry for what you're about to go through. Let's get this over with." Inoichi nodded and put his arms around Naruto, Kurenai, and his own arm. Then he started making signs with his hands. Mind invasion jutsu. The three of them fell over, but Sasuke stiffened up. Sasuke's mindscape. The three of them ended up in the Uchiha neighborhood of Konoha. The area looked fine, but it was empty. But as they looked around, they saw that something was wrong. The rest of Konoha was on fire, and people could be heard screaming far away. Sasuke suddenly showed up in front of them. "You like? This is where I go when I'm not training or doing anything important. This, of course, is where Konoha will go in the future." Naruto gave a headshake. "There was a time when I wanted this too, but that time is over," he said, looking up at Sasuke with hard eyes. "You think that this village has betrayed you? You haven't seen anything yet. Let's get this done." Inoichi gave another hand sign and nodded. Memory transference. He put one hand on Naruto and one on Kurenai, who was all set to do a genjutsu. In a split second, they both gasped and almost lost their focus. But Naruto strengthened them with his mind, so Kurenai could use her genjutsu. The smirk on Sasuke's face went away in an instant as Naruto's worst memories came back to him. A skinny 3-month-old baby was crying and huddled under a thin blanket. At some point, a worker from the orphanage came in, hit the baby, and then put a bottle in his mouth. The milk that came out smelled bad, but the baby drank it anyway. A 3-year-old boy looked through a trash barrel while rain poured down his back. He was only wearing ragged pants. Out of nowhere, a brick came and hit him in the back, making him scream. "Get out of here, you damn demon." yelled the owner of the restaurant he was standing behind, ready to throw another brick. Naruto ran as fast as he could, and when he got to the box he lived in, he curled up in it and cried. He looked up at the harsh, gray sky. He said in a whisper, "I want mommy." Even though Naruto was only 5 years old and had a broken leg, he was able to drag himself into his apartment. He also had a black eye and a couple of kunai in his arms. The date October 10th was written on the calendar, which he slowly moved past. He got to the special bell the Hokage gave him and rang it, falling over. After a minute, an Anbu officer came in, swore, and took Naruto to the hospital. 9-year-old Naruto watched as the parents of the other kids at the academy picked them up. His usual mask of being happy and carefree was gone, and he cried as he felt the pain of being alone and wished he had a mom to hug him or a dad to tell him he was proud of him. He slowly got off the swing he had been sitting on, and an older student punched him. This guy is going to be the next Hokage, so let's show him some respect. Naruto just laid there and let them beat him. If he fought back, the people in the village would say he attacked his classmates. Even at this moment, some of the parents nearby were cheering for the bullies. Sasuke screamed in pain and fear and cried out of sadness as he felt every hit, kick, and feeling that Naruto did. He had hundreds of memories that were all the same. The landscape of the mind changed, and all that was left was blackness. Still, the memories weren't over. Naruto sat on the Shoden statue and listened to Sasuke rant about how he was done with being a ninja in Konoha. Pain and betrayal hurt him more than any kunai blade ever could. Naruto, who was 15 years old at the time, watched as Sasuke pulled out his Shakuda and got ready to kill him. Sasuke had let him live out of curiosity, not because they were friends. Naruto knew he was about to die, and he didn't care for the first time. Naruto slowly stood up after destroying everything around him. The wind made his new ears and tail move. Naruto ran with only one thought in his head the whole time. I'm a monster. No one loves me anymore. Sasuke screamed as he hit the ground and held his head. Both Kurenai and Inoichi stopped shaking and breathing hard. They looked at Naruto, who just stood there like nothing had happened. Kurenai was finally able to say something. Naruto. How? How did you live with all of that? He looked up and smiled slowly. You only saw the bad times. Even though there weren't many of them, my good memories kept me sane. Sasuke couldn't move, so he just laid there. What he had just been through was beyond words. He thought his whole life that he was the only one who deserved sympathy because his own brother had killed everyone in their family. He thought he was the only one who could really feel pain. But Naruto. Pain had been Naruto's life. Naruto's life was so much better than Sasuke's. Even more so because he had helped make the tragedy happen. He started to cry slowly. Kill me. Please just kill me. Naruto gave the Uchiha on the ground a quick look. He knelt down next to him slowly. Why? I don't deserve to live. Kill me now and get rid of me. Will that make up for what you've done? That would be the coward's way out, Sasuke. You need to face what you've done and deal with it. Sasuke looked up at Naruto. I was wrong. I thought that power came from jutsus and skills. But you. Your strength is unbeatable. No one will ever be stronger than you. Sasuke bowed his head. No matter what happens to me, it won't be enough. Naruto gave a head shake. No, it won't, but it'll be a start. Back to the truth. When they came back to their bodies, Sasuke let out a gasp. He couldn't look up, so he just stared at the floor. Naruto merely nodded. Remember, everyone. What you all saw is an SS-level secret, and I don't want anyone else to know about it. Okay? Slowly they nodded. Inoichi stopped Naruto as he was about to walk out the door and smile. Naruto, how can you smile after all that? How did you stay sane after what we saw? Naruto just smiled. Like I said, the good times were happy enough to make up for all the bad ones. Here's my best memory. Inoichi reached out slowly and put his hand on Naruto's head. After a second, he stepped back and smiled. You're right. If anyone deserves happiness, it's you. Naruto nodded. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to help a possible friend and ninja and go on a date with a beautiful vixen, he said. Then, in a flash of yellow, he was gone. When Naruto arrived, Tsunade was getting ready to check on Jugo, who had been brought to the hospital by two Anbu. He gave Jugo a smile and then looked at Tsunade. Okay, Nei-chan, let's move on, shall we? Tsunade nodded and brought a syringe over to Jugo. She took a small amount of his blood and had it analyzed. In the meantime, she started to figure out what was wrong with Jugo. Well, everything seems to be in order. Unfortunately, the seal we put on you to keep you sane also sealed your chakra network. If we can't find a way to help you control this, we'll have to keep the seal on. For a moment, Jugo looked down, but Naruto just smiled. Well, we could give him to Guy and Lee. They could train him to become a taijutsu master. Tsunade looked scared. And have 3 wackos in green spandex? I don't think so. Just then, a nurse came in with the analysis. Tsunade looked at it and gave a nod. Well, it won't be easy, but I think if I, Jiraiya, and the Yamanaka all put in a little effort, we can get this under control, and he could go to the academy. Naruto smiled and hugged Jugo with just one arm. Okay, is there something I can do? Tsunade turned her head away. Nope. Unfortunately, until we get this under control, he will have to stay at the Anbu headquarters, but I'll take care of him. How did things go with Sasuke? His good mood went down. Taken care of. Whatever punishment the council decides, he's ready for it and will accept it. Tsunade nodded. Right. We'll talk to them about this when you and I get back, and we'll also deal with the council. All 3 of them have been put in special cells, so they shouldn't be going anywhere soon. Also, I've heard that the Cage Summit meeting will be in River Country, so we need to be ready to move. Naruto nodded. Right, I should make sure that Hinata-chan and I have a great night. Well, that's great, but you'll see her a lot during the trip. Naruto was confused as he looked at her. Tsunade sighed. I moved her and you to work under Cage as a 3-person cell. You will be my official bodyguards at the meeting, and you will come with me. Naruto just stood there for a while. You mean Hinata Haim and I play for the same team? As soon as Tsunade said yes, Naruto yelled and jumped in the air before giving Tsunade a big hug and saying, Thanks, Nei-chan. This is awesome. Then he ran away, and Tsunade smiled because it was the first time since Naruto came back that he acted like the boy he was before he changed. Madara Uchiha looked at the 5 remaining members of Akatsuki. There was himself, Pain and Konan, who had just returned, Kisame, and Zetsu. In the group's history, there had been 14 members. The way things are now, our mission is in danger. We were able to free the Haichibi, but Team Taka was caught along with it. Now, Kumo's full power is protecting the Haichibi. When it comes to the Kyuubi, problems have come up. Its Jinchuriki has been shown to be what it really is. Naruto Uzumaki is really the son of the legendary Yondaime, whose name is Naruto Namikaze. He has picked up some of his father's skills, which makes him a very dangerous person. Even worse, he has joined with Kyuubi in some way, turning him into a Hanyu. This makes him even more dangerous, and it makes it harder to get the Kyuubi out of him. They looked at each other, and then Kisame asked, What should we do? It sounds almost like you're telling us to give up. Madara shook his head. No. We need to move slowly and carefully. We need to figure out how to catch the Haichibi. At the same time, we have to figure out how to get Naruto to come out on his own so we can attack him then. If that happens, everything we've done will be for nothing. They looked at each other and slowly nodded. Just as they were about to split up, an AIM ninja ran in. Pain-sama. We heard about the 2 Jinchuriki. As Pain nodded, the ninja continued, We've heard that a Cage Summit meeting will be held in River Country, and that the Raikage and Hokage will bring their Jinchuriki with them. Pain gave a satisfied nod. Good. You were kicked out. Madara smiled and said, Well, maybe fate has been kind to us after all. We will all have to work together to attack, but if we do this and kill all of the cages, we should be able to finish our mission. Get ready to move. The next morning, Naruto, Hinata, and Cage waited for Tsunade. The blonde medic Sanin showed up when the sun was halfway up in the sky. She gave a nod to everyone, and they left. Hinata and Naruto walked in front, talking and holding hands while their ears listened for different things. Tsunade smiled when she saw them. Thank Kami that he finally looked down on this boy with a smile. Gaara, his siblings, Matsuri, and Baki left. Gaara felt the wind from his home country ruffle his hair, and he let out a small sigh of happiness. Maybe now we can stop the Akatsuki from being a threat. The Mizukage sighed as he stepped off the boat and onto the solid ground of the mainland. He looked around, and then he and his 2 bodyguards went in a different direction. So you're saying that Konoha's Jinchuriki is a Hanyu? As the Raikage nodded, Killer Bee scratched at one of the few burns that were still on his body. He was mostly healed, but it would take some time for all of his wounds to heal. The 2 other ninjas who were standing behind them listened as the Raikage spoke. His name is Naruto Namikaze, and he is a Hanyu. He is better known to us as the Fox Knight. Killer Bee blew a whistle and said, "That man was dangerous. He helped us, right?" "He was just doing his job for his village," the Raikage said with a nod. "You'd do the same thing. Also, he cared a lot about you because you were a lot like him." Killer Bee smiled and said, "Then I can't wait to meet the kid." As he got ready to leave for the summit meeting, the Tsukuhikage glared at the report he was reading. The Hokage had decided to bring her pet Jinchuriki, and what was worse was who that Jinchuriki's father was. Namikaze. If I get the chance, I'll put an end to that forever. Madara smiled behind his mask as he led the Akatsuki south toward river country. They would have a few days to settle in and wait, and then everything would be fine. I will get even with Konoha, and then everything will be fine.
So that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to the channel for more awesome stories like this. Thank you. See you all in my next video.